toxic masculinity.
Trump was right. Sunlight kills COVID 8 times faster than previously believed.
Yeah, so sunlight is virtually the best disinfectant, but it's also literally the best disinfectant apparently as well. Yeah, so this is I got this out of Zero Hedge. Do you guys remember ages ago when Trump was like, during the summer months, COVID may dissipate. COVID might just disappear.
You mean last summer?
Yeah.
I forgot.
And everybody's
already
mocking him
here.
for it, and then afterwards everybody said he said it would dissipate during the summer and it didn't. So he was like misleading the American people on purpose, and this is like he needs to be impeached and all this. I mean, the left is crazy, obviously. Nothing that Trump ever said. Let me just say this: nothing that Trump ever said was something that he had just come up with out of nowhere. It's not like Trump was reading the scientific journals on COVID and coming up with his own, ideas about how this, was going to happen. He was listening to Fauci. He was listening to all these medical advisors, and then he was repeating what they were saying to the American people.
Is Fauci actually a medical professional, or he just have
No.
a PhD?
No, he's an epidemiologist, I think.
Like Jill Biden.
Yeah, Jill Biden. No, he's not like Jill Biden. I think I think he's an epidemiologist or something like that.
I think
I'd
he
have to
just
look.
corrupt.
Anyway, point is, Trump was being advised by all these medical professionals, and then he was repeating what they were saying to him, excuse me, to the American people. And but Trump always got criticized for it, like Trump's some kind of an idiot because he's saying all these things that aren't true. It was bizarre. It was like they were trying to insinuate that Trump was intentionally misleading the American people. I don't really know why. I guess for some kind of political advantage or something. I mean, the left doesn't really think through their attacks on Trump or conservatives generally, right? There's always some kind of motivation that Republicans are supposed to have that is sinister, right? Like we're always racist. Everything's a racist motivation. Well, how does being racist in this particular instance help us? Oh, well, it doesn't, but you're so racist, you don't even care. You're just racist. You're just so hateful and racist, you don't have to have a reason, right? The one that always drives me crazy is when they say that conservative men or Republican men or like misogynist guys, they want their wives barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen. Listen.
And make sandwiches.
In making sandwiches. Listen, I don't want my wife barefoot or pregnant in the kitchen. I want my wife super fit in lingerie in the kitchen. Okay? Big difference. You're supposed to laugh at that.
You forgot heels.
Oh, I forgot heels. Yes, I forgot heels. Darling, you're supposed to like chuckle to indicate to the
No.
audience that you're not offended.
I'm offended.
Oh my God. Anyway. Throwing stuff out of now. The cat jumps. Anyway, so let's see here. What the heck were we talking about?
Lingerie. It's just our neighbor got murdered.
It sounded like somebody got hurt, actually.
Yeah. Like somebody fell.
Can you hear if they're yelling or anything?
Yeah.
They're yelling?
Not now.
Do I need to go over there?
Well, maybe after the show.
No. You're not hearing anybody now, though?
Well, I heard the noise.
I heard the noise. I thought I heard somebody yell a little bit.
Yeah, when she was falling.
You want me to go over and check?
Are you sure it's a good...
Well, why don't you go knock on the door? I think it's on the left. Just make sure she's not dead. I'll keep doing the show. You can come back.
Okay.
You've got kind of shoes on. She's got her house slippers, but that's okay. Anyway, sorry about that, guys. I'll switch to me, but she'll come back shortly. Let's see here. I don't even remember what I was talking about. Oh yeah, the thing that drives me nuts that they always talk about is abortion, right? They always say that men want to control women's bodies. This is a big thing for like a year or two that they were saying men want to control women's bodies. And I talked about a friend of mine about this. Talked with a friend of mine about this, And I said, she brought that up as a talking point because that's the leftist talking point. And I said, can I just tell you, I have no interest in controlling women's bodies. Did you knock? Oh, you didn't knock.
No, but
You could hear her through the door. Okay, so you're
she
convinced that
she just broke something.
she just broke something. She's broke like some furniture or something like that.
Something.
But she didn't die.
Yeah. No,
All
she
right, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. We're good neighbors. So we go check on. We don't even know that girl actually. We know it's a girl.
One time I helped her to carry some heavy bag. Not the carry,
Okay,
like
so you have met her actually.
drag some.
We've
Yeah.
met some of our neighbors. We haven't really. I guess you've talked to her. She's like Asian or Hispanic.
Yeah,
or something. Asian.
Asian.
Anyway, so the one that I always find hilarious is they always say men want women to have abortions because they want women not to have abortions. We want to stop abortions. We want the pro-life people are all men that want to control women's bodies. And so my friend told me this. I won't say her name because you guys might know her because she's a YouTuber. And we're in this conversation over the phone, and she says, "Well, I think men want to control women's bodies." And I said, "Listen, I have no interest in controlling your body. Okay, that is not why I'm pro-life. Okay, there's some like random chick in DC wants to have an abortion. Okay, I couldn't care less about that woman's body. Okay." None of you women around the world, this is going to sound harsh, don't care about your bodies. Don't want to control them, want nothing to do with them. I've got a beautiful wife. That's the only body I care about controlling. But this was the pervasive message, is that men want to control women's bodies. And I always say, like, okay, first of all, what benefit is that to us, right? What benefit is it for me to control the bodies of random women? And I proposed this to my friend when we were in our phone conversation, and she said, it makes you feel powerful? And so I said, listen, I can tell you from personal experience, the idea of controlling strange women's bodies whom I don't know does not make me feel powerful in any way whatsoever. I have no interest in that. And she's like, I don't know, I think it's a thing. And that's the problem. The left proposes all of these idiotic ideas, these motivations that they apply to conservatives. And these motivations don't make any sense. They're not realistic. They're just like, you're hateful, you're bigoted, you want power, and that's all you care about. And so it's weird. It's like, you're evil, so all of your motivations are evil. And maybe they don't sound like they make sense, but of course they don't make sense because evil doesn't make sense. That's like the thinking. And so in this case, we're talking about the way that they were presenting Trump's, what he was saying about COVID, and they're like, Trump said that you should inject bleach to get rid of COVID. No, he never said that. Okay, first of all, he never said that. Secondly, what would his motivation be for trying to poison, millions of Americans? It doesn't make any sense. I mean, all the stuff that they're saying is just stupid, right? Trump is this sinister man who's trying to poison Americans. He's a bigoted misogynist. Like none of the stuff makes any sense that they apply to Trump. And if Democrat voters would just think about what they're saying for a second, they might realize, oh yeah, actually this doesn't make any sense. So, but let's have a look at this story. So this is fantastic because what this indicates is something that Democrats will never hear probably, is that when Trump was saying sunlight kills COVID, and the left is all laughing at him, well, it turns out that he was right. He was obviously just listening to his advisors. He was listening to these medical professionals. They were telling him that sunlight will probably kill COVID. And so he said that, and they all laughed at him. Turns out he's right. It's even more so than they ever thought. So, okay, let's go ahead and read this. It says, as it turns out, President Trump might have been onto something last spring when he rambled during a press conference about the possibility that sunlight could be leveraged to destroy the virus. Research recently published by a team of academics at UC Santa Barbara found the coronavirus is inactivated by sunlight as much as 8 times faster than current theoretical modeling had anticipated. UC Santa Barbara assistant professor of medical engineering, I don't know this guy's name, it's something Italian, analyzed studies exploring the effects of different forms of UV radiation on SARS-CoV-2 and found a significant discrepancy, according to RT. Okay, so this is from a Russian news agency, which I try not to cite if I can, because they're, a lot of it's Russian stuff. But this sounds legitimate. I think this is probably legitimate. As with all electromagnetic radiation, UV falls on a spectrum. Longer wave UVA reacts differently with parts of DNA and RNA than mid-range waves that are found in sunlight. These shorter range waves can kill microbes and cause sunburns in humans, while short-wave UV radiation has been shown to deactivate viruses like SARS-CoV-2. Light from this end of the spectrum is often deflected away from humanity by the Earth's ozone layer. But analysis of various studies of how different types of UV light interacts with SARS-CoV-2 found that COVID should disintegrate even more quickly when exposed to summer sunlight, which features more shortwave radiation. One reason risk of contracting the virus outdoors during summer is much, much lower than being indoors in winter. And this happens 8 times faster than they thought. Now, what I think is actually fantastic about this, and what maybe we would have had a better quality of life over the past year if people had paid attention to stuff like this and had believed Trump instead of just trying to say everything Trump says is bad and evil, is that if we had paid attention to the idea that, oh, actually going outdoors is good for you and may actually kill COVID, and staying indoors is bad for you, and COVID thrives indoors without the sunlight, maybe we would have killed COVID faster or reduced the number of infections if we'd encouraged people to go outside instead of locking them in.
Well,
Quarantine may have exacerbated the problem, is what I'm saying.
people who can think,
Yes, darling.
they knew that from the beginning.
That's true. You and I actually went outside as much as we could, really. I mean, I have a show that I don't have to leave the apartment for.
Yeah.
Like my job, I don't actually have to leave the apartment for my job, which is really unpleasant. Because a normal job, you leave the house at least to get to the office.
Yes.
And you leave the office at least to get to the house. And then a lot of jobs, you actually...
What is going on?
A lot of the jobs, you have to actually leave the office and go, around town and do stuff. With my job, I never have to leave my apartment ever.
So you've been in quarantine for the last 3 years?
Yes, so I'm in quarantine all the time, which is awful.
Yeah, but I'm not. I'm going crazy in the apartment doing nothing.
It's true.
So we were like, okay, grab the cat, grab the car, let's go travel.
Yeah, and also we were going on hikes. We were trying to go to all these waterfalls in the LA area. Some of them were very disappointing. You remember that?
Well, very disappointing was that security guard on a hike trail was like, no, the trail is too narrow. There can be 2 people. And we
I
have to
said,
sit here.
yeah, I actually said to them, I go, are you going to physically stop us from going on the trail? She goes, well, no.
Well,
and
no.
I turned to Valeria and I'm like, let's go. And we were going to actually just go around the barrier and just go, even though the city, Garcetti was like blocking this trail for some reason. And because I said to the woman, I said, oh, well, if you have the trail blocked and nobody's allowed on it, then we'll be the only ones on it. And she's like, no, I can't let you do it. She's like from the National Park Service or something. And, or maybe the city Parks and Rec. I don't know where she was
like
from.
a park ranger or
Something.
like this.
Yeah. Anyway, she was not letting us go on this trail because she said the trail was too narrow, and if you walked next to somebody, you could potentially infect them with COVID. So I'm like, because you can't keep 6 feet distance. But then if you went on all the other trails, it was like jam packed full of people because they closed off so many of the other trails.
Yeah.
So I mean, what you're saying wasn't making any sense. I said, okay, well, let's just sneak around. By sneak, I just meant walk around in full view of this woman, just like brazenly breaking the law. I guess I was going to do it. I was like, come on. I grabbed Valeria. I was like, come on, let's go. And she was like, no. Valeria does not like breaking rules. She doesn't like that kind of like bold, obvious, like rebellious activity. She likes to be orderly, follow the rules, this kind of stuff. And
Well, I'm from Russia, so we have to kind of.
Yeah. So I went along with the wife, and I did not, right in front of this park authority woman, I did not just, flagrantly violate the law. Even though I really, really, really wanted to.
Well, she wouldn't physically stop
No, she
us,
wasn't gonna
But I was expecting like maybe she will call the police. I was like,
call the police on us trail walkers
Well, I was like,
walking the trails.
I was like, I'm not a citizen of the United States. I don't want to get in trouble for walking.
Yeah,
on the-
Valeria is actually pretty sensitive about breaking any kind of rules or laws because she's still going through her immigration stuff, so she always wants to do everything by the book. She doesn't even. She will not even jaywalk. Like, I'm trying to get her to cross it. She's like, we have to walk at the corner. I don't want some cop stopping us and then I'm in trouble for jaywalking. So she follows all the rules by the letter, which is actually very smart. If you're trying to get your immigration documents, it's probably the smartest thing. But I grew up here and I don't have to worry about that stuff. So yeah, I was ready to break the rules, but we didn't for Valeria. But anyway, point I'm trying to make here is that a lot of the COVID restrictions that we had may have ended up actually making things worse for us. And now,
Oh, really?
yeah,
Oh, really?
it's shocking. I know. You know, somebody wrote me the other day. I'm friends with somebody who I have some kind of an association with one of the people who have worked with AOC and got AOC into office, which you would think like it's an odd pairing. But, it just goes to show you can be respectful of people who you disagree with politically. Anyway, so we chat on Twitter sometimes, and we were discussing the benefits of masks, and he was saying, I don't understand why you don't think masks are a good idea. And if you look at all the data, it's like just a cloth barrier was what they instructed us to have is absolutely useless. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't stop the virus coming in. It doesn't really stop the virus going out.
It doesn't even stop the unpleasant smells around.
No, it does nothing. It does nothing. So I said...
it gives me acne.
So yeah, it gives you acne. But the guy said, the N95 masks, are proven to be effective. And I said, well, then mandate the N95 masks.
Well, in the beginning, they said don't buy N95 because they need for medical professionals.
And they never changed that.
Yeah.
The problem is that if you are a politician and you genuinely want to stop the spread of the virus, and you genuinely think that having people wear masks will help, you need to have people wear N95 masks. They're the only effective mask. I mean, they're not the only effective mask. They're the cheapest, most abundantly available mask that you can get that is effective, right? So you should mandate an N95 mask or better. There are other masks that are not N95, but you should have a list of masks that you can mandate. But this idea of just wearing like a cloth thing that says Gucci on it or something like that, that's not going to help you. That's just for show. That doesn't do anything. And so that's what I wrote back. I was saying, if they had mandated that, I would have taken the mask mandate seriously. But they didn't, so they obviously didn't actually care about stopping the spread of the virus. They just wanted you to do something. So it seemed like something, like they were taking some kind of action. Anyway, so this goes to show that, in fact, quarantining people may have actually had a worse impact on the spread of the virus. When they say, oh, look, Trump said it might disappear in summer, but it didn't. Well, maybe that's because you forced everybody to stay inside all summer. Like last summer, everybody was like locked inside in quarantine.
We couldn't just stay on the beach because I remember we went with our friends to the beach, like 6 of us, and I was like putting towels, and there was a beach
patrol, like lifeguards or something.
They were like
yeah.
coming to everyone, like you cannot stay at one place. You have to move.
Was that
around.
when I came and met up with you guys later in the day?
It was later. Yeah. In the beginning, they were coming to us. If you're just staying on one place, they're like, you have to move around. You have to exercise, jog, whatever, but you cannot.
You could only be on the beach if you were walking on the beach.
And I was like, so you want me to spread the virus around? They're like, well you don't want the
do you
beach
remember
to
they
get closed.
actually filled in like a skate park with sand? I mean, they were so crazy. Like, you're not allowed on the beach. I remember it was so crazy. You weren't allowed on the beach.
You have to move on the beach. You cannot stay in one place, but you cannot move on a skate park.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Well, the whole thing was just crazy. Yeah, and they were fining people for being on the beach. Although they didn't, there were so many people on that day that you're talking about that they didn't. I don't think they fined anybody.
They didn't fine anybody because there was no police, but they were just not letting you stay in one place.
Yeah. Don't go outside, guys. Don't go to parks. Don't go to the beach. Don't hike. Don't do anything healthy. Don't go to the gym. Don't do anything healthy. Don't do anything that's good for you. You got to stay inside and let the virus incubate and spread. I mean, it was just the worst possible advice. Anyway, okay, so shall we move on to the next story?
Yeah.
All right, what do we got? What do you got for us?
Cat is looking at me like...
Oh, he is looking at you. Yeah. At least he's not meowing.
Makes me uncomfortable. 1,000 migrants a day cross the border undetected.
Yeah, so apparently 1,000 migrants every single day are crossing the border undetected. These are the ones that they're not catching, they're not even seeing, right? This is the estimate. The
But
estimate
how do
is
they know if they are undetected?
toxic masculinity. Weekdays, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific.